Oh, look at this. Hang on.
I'm hearing that,
That echo.
My computer's
feedback.
telling me that ringing noise is coming from yours.
Oh, how's that?
It's not happening, so I guess it's good.
I just have to hold it then. Wow. Ow.
Alright, it says it's recording your call, so fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Wait, do we know, like, exactly what we're talking about? Like, or...
Well, I know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna bring up that blog post I did, too. Shameless plug-in.
Plug.
Yeah, I got a few notes written down that I was originally going to use in that topic video, but then I decided, like, nah, I'm saving it for this instead.
Yeah, you know that, the strange case of the Spider-Man blog post I did?
Uh-huh.
Originally, I too was gonna make that into a video, but you know what? I'm gonna just bring in a few bits of it into this discussion. I thought that'd be better.
Huh.
Because the Miles thing is definitely a big topic right now with all the people who, half of them aren't even comic book fans.
Mm.
Yeah, and I get why they're tired, but we need to remember here that the reason the last two series failed was because of one single studio.
No, Avi Arad.
Yeah, him too. Oh, he's got his fingers in the pudding too.
Yep.
And I'm so glad he's now executive producer and he won't have any reason to be a part of the new movies at all. Oh, irony, thy name is Avi Arad.
It's ironic about it.
Okay, maybe irony was the wrong word.
Poetic justice or something like that. I don't know.
Poetic justice, that's better. Oh, it's so poetic.
Poetic justice. Alright, you guys ready to go?
Yes.
Yep.
Alright.
Yeah, we gotta have, like, a better flow this time around, though, because I felt with the reboot discussion we had, like, a lot of awkward silence moments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just jump in there. Just
Yes.
just talk about Spider-Man for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not an hour, because I've still got to work out before it gets too late. But,
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was working on something. Yeah. Wait a second.
Okay. Let's get swinging.
you guys ready?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to start with... Let's run through some topic ideas. Like, what do we want to talk about?
Well,
first up... Oh, go ahead. Never mind.
overall, what this means for the rest of the MCU, how this affects the rest of the MCU, then we can probably talk about, story opportunities, probably in what direction the MCU is now headed, and a bunch of other stuff. Maybe characters, villains, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and what direction they're gonna take, and I think you mentioned something about the actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's all at one point. We're probably going to pick the actors that we want. We can make our cases.
Yeah, and I was probably gonna bring up something about the whole Miles and Peter thing.
True.
I'm gonna make my case how Jaden Smith should play Peter Parker.
I will debunk that immediately.
No, he's great though.
He is so boring. I hated him in the Karate Kid reboot.
It's a new take on Peter too.
Dear
No.
God,
No, I don't. I have nothing wrong with with another race, but I don't want characters getting just race swap just for the sake of being new.
If this actually happened and I was Will Smith, I would say, son, you better perform your ass off in this movie or I'm disowning you.
That'd be harsh.
True. Let's save it for the show, guys.
Okay.
Alright.
I wonder if they're getting Punisher in the MCU now.
Well, wonder that out loud in about 30 seconds. Alright.
Yeah,
Wait.
okay.
You want to do a countdown? Or should we do a countdown?
Yeah, I'll do a countdown. Okay, wait, ready?
Hang on, let me put my headphones on. Okay, now they're in.
Okay, 10, 9, 8. No, I was joking. Someone else do it.
Sorry.
Okay. 3,
2,
1.
go. 5 seconds, go.
Jesus, man, come on. All right.
I'm sorry.
Should we still pause it for a little bit, or?
No, it's good. Go.
All right, fine. We're good. We're live. Okay. Hey,
yeah,
everybody,
we're
this
here.
is CJ.
And I'm Zach.
This is Oscar.
And I'm Nick.
And so, yeah, a little, there was just a little bit of news that came out this week. Not really. It's been pretty slow. Really minor news out of Marvel this week that Spider-Man is back.
Minor? You call that minor news?
I'm joking. It's a little homage to Caboose last night in the Illuminati episode. Go check that out, by the way, on his channel. But yes, Spidey is back at Marvel. Spider-Man is well, not technically, but Spider-Man is going to be in the MCU. This is big, so I just want to go around and get your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this?
It's an interesting time to announce it too, at an 8:30 p.m.
Yeah,
like a Monday night.
Really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited as whole hell for it.
Of course you are. You're the Spider-Man guy.
Yeah, this is really big news, and I believe that this is going to change the Marvel Cinematic Universe into something entirely else that we did not expect it to be.
Now, see, this is kind of interesting. So I kind of want to go in this direction for a little bit first here. The impact of this is what we, of course, are going to talk about today, and that's ranging from characters to storylines to who we want to play the character. But I want to start with a little bit of an unrecognized impact here. There was an article on Movie Pilot, I think, talking about the effect that this might have on Black Panther, and specifically the article made the point that Black Panther, it was rumored for a long time, was going to take Spider-Man's role in Civil War. Now, if Spider-Man is going to actually be in Civil War, this might mean Black Panther is going to get bumped. So, what would you guys think about that? How do you guys think this is going to affect the MCU, specifically maybe towards Black Panther?
I don't think he's going to get bumped. Personally, I think that they already have their stuff set in stone, and I think that this Spidey thing has been, they've had this idea in the back of their minds for a while now, so they kind of planned for that. And I feel like, if anything, the Spider-Man thing in Civil War will either be an after-credit scene or be a small cameo within the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Nick, are you in the wave that are you of the belief that they actually had this deal done months ago?
Oh yeah, basically when the emails came out, I think that was the seed of it, pretty much.
True. Oscar, what are you thinking?
I actually agree with Nick on this one, because I actually did a news video not so long ago where it was rumored that Spider-Man might actually show up in Avengers Infinity War.
See, that would make sense, because a lot of people are saying he might be part of the new Avengers team. It's been rumored for a while that there's going to be a completely new Avengers team. This is all based, speculation based on contracts and stuff, but that Avengers Infinity War Part 1 would not feature any of the big three that we've come to know. I think it would have no Hulk, no Thor, no Iron Man, and no Captain America, or at least Bucky Cap. So,
see, according to the article, the article that I did a news video about, it said that they're gonna, push the major names to the sidelines for a bit to actually focus on the upcoming heroes of Phase 3.
It makes sense, because that would be it's kind of a safe call, right? You sideline your people for Part 1, and then you bring them back for Part 2. So it's either way, it's okay, if Part 1 works with the new Avengers, if it's a smashing success and everybody loves the team, then your future is secure. But if they don't like it, then it doesn't matter, because they're coming back for Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah, it's a way to safely test the waters in terms of the new team, the roster, whatever.
Exactly. And the barometer, I guess, is what people usually call it. It's a barometer.
Yeah, and Avengers Infinity War is going to have probably the biggest cast of characters up till date.
It's going to be like a play, like a Broadway show. It's going to have 30 people.
How is that panel going to work at Comic-Con? They're just going to have like a bench set up with like
gonna be
millions
like-
of people.
Yeah, they're actually going to have to like Hawkeye is somehow going to be like behind a curtain all the way on the left. It's so they, but I mean, yeah, they've got to make, and it's kind of like it's going to be. It's interesting that you bring that up because that both panels, both the DC and the Marvel panels, are probably going to be extra long this year, especially if they cast a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting too because last year DC sort of tried this out with having all their TV shows on one panel, and it looked kind of cool how they had like this bleacher seating almost, like different levels of chairs. So I'm assuming that's what they're going to do for Marvel and stuff.
It's like if you're on the bottom level, you are most important, but if you're all the way at the top, you're like Hawkeye.
You're in the corner over there.
You're the least important. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Don't give him the mic.
Yeah. It's like I really want to go make that Bourne movie. I was the star there. But back to Spider-Man. So that's sort of the potential negative impact is like looking at maybe Black Panther playing a diminished role. But I kind of agree with both of you guys. I think, and I know somebody called us out for like always agreeing, and we don't always agree, but this is one thing where I feel like they've got the story set in stone, and especially since they shoot in 2 months, I really, really doubt that they'd try to change it drastically right now, just because they know like they got Spider-Man. I'm not with you, Nick, on like the fact that it's been done for a while. Like I think this was something that probably just got agreed to recently, but at the same time, it's one of those things that I don't think they'll find a way to like put him in. I think they look at the praise that they've gotten for having Captain Marvel and Black Panther coming up, and they're gonna roll with it.
Plus, I don't think that they would sideline Black Panther after that whole song and dance that they did at that Marvel event in like October, I think.
They brought Robert out. They brought Mr. RDJ out. They brought Chris Evans out, and then of course they brought Chadwick Boseman out, and was like, "Yep, he's Black Panther." And to echo Josh from the Illuminati last night, you don't get Chadwick Boseman, who's probably the hottest black actor. Not hottest, like he's a good-looking man, but hottest as a hot commodity. You don't get the hottest black actor in Hollywood to play like fifth fiddle. He's going to be part of that big three in that movie.
Yeah, especially given that Civil War is looking to be his first big introduction too for his solo movie.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, before we get Black Panther.
Uh-huh.
So I just mentioned the fact that I guess some people think that we agree with each other too much. Let's introduce a little divisiveness.
Yeah, forgot that comment.
Yes, let's introduce a little divisiveness, and the way I'm going to do this is, who do you guys want to play? What were you saying?
We should actually post our Facebook chat bubble on the channel so that everyone can see that we do not always agree.
Hybrid Network Civil War.
I mean, if you guys followed us behind the scenes, you know that we don't agree with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, me and Nick talking about Aquaman a couple days ago.
Yeah.
That got heated.
Nick being the resident DC guy, and me being the resident Spider-Man guy.
Yep. Let's change tunes for a little bit. Let's get some dissent in here. Who do you guys want to play Spider-Man?
I don't know.
James
Zach,
Smith.
Zach, you get first run at this. Let's. You were the Spider-Man guy.
I am the self-appointed one here, but I don't know.
Spider Pope.
There's two guys like Dylan O'Brien and Logan Lerman. I've been going back and forth. I haven't seen any of their movies yet, but I've been going by looks, like who looks like closest to like the comics, maybe. So I don't know. I mean, either one could be good. I haven't seen their acting, so I can't really comment on that front. But in terms of looks, as if they look like the character themselves, I don't know. I'd be okay with either one of them, just as long as they can pull off being, wisecracking and smart aleck and being an outcast. Enough of the nerd or the hipster gunk. So, I want outcast Peter Parker,
who's your dream casting for that, Zach?
Do I even need to tell you? Josh Keaton. Josh Keaton.
I think he's a little too old for the whole high school route they're going.
Yeah. True. Well, age makeup. We'll CG him. It'll be CG
if they can
Josh Keaton.
If they can do it in Tron Legacy, they can do it elsewhere.
CG Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
So smooth.
Yeah, it's so real. I can't tell if it's actually fake or not.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Anybody? Bueller?
Anyone?
Taron Egerton from Kingsman.
That's the one I was waiting for. I honestly I forgot that we've talked about this, Nick, but I was waiting to see who was going to bring up Taron Egerton. I
want to see Kingsman.
He's a perfect height too. He's 5'8". He's got like that build, that husky build and all that.
His build, he's closer to Tobey Maguire than he is to Garfield.
Yeah, he's got the look. He looks like he has the attitude too in Kingsman. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I gotta see that. I gotta see that this week.
Dream casting, Oscar.
Oh, me. Dreamcasting. Gee. If he was younger, I would definitely want to dreamcast Christopher Daniel Barnes.
Who?
Christopher Daniel Barnes, from the 94 series?
1 second, hold on.
You don't remember Christopher Daniel Barnes?
Nope.
Hold up.
He played in Spider-Man 94, the animated series on Fox Kids?
Yeah.
Just get Chris O'Donnell to play him.
He would actually probably work, you're right, but only if he was younger.
Yeah, if he were playing an old... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but actually, out of the two choices that are being eyeballed recently, I don't know, like, I haven't seen, the Maze Runners yet, but I have seen a few of Logan Lerman's movies, and, he's an up-and-coming actor, and, it shows that his acting has improved ever since he did, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
We do not speak of Percy Jackson.
I don't know he was in Fury,
I don't even remember that movie.
Yeah, but the thing is, to me, the actor who plays Peter Parker and Spider-Man, he has got to be very socially awkward, even around other superheroes, because, as we all know, yes, Spider-Man, from time to time, teams up with a lot of superheroes, but for the most time, he's a loner due to the fact that he's always been alone, since so many people have, mistreated him during his high school years.
Yeah.
And
he's not a hipster.
Yeah.
I will punch the next person that says that.
Yeah, he has
Garfield
to be...
was dangerously hipster in the Amazing movies, but...
Yeah, I didn't see much of that. I don't get that.
Yeah, the guy has to be kind of awkward, but he has to have this kind of quirky sense of humor as well. And when the time comes for it, he has to be a very dramatic and serious actor, too. So it's not going to be an easy job for the next guy who is going to play Spider-Man.
There's a lot of responsibility there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great power, man. But that's kind of the thing. I agree with you. It is probably one of the toughest acting jobs, just because of one, how popular he is, but just the range that you have to hit in that role is incredible.
Exactly. It's probably the most daunting role in Hollywood, next after Batman, probably.
Yep.
Or Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see though if they do play up on the fact that he messes up and he doesn't do everything perfectly, like when he's with other superheroes too, like if he's acting more newbie, I guess, more green than they are.
Yeah, that's something. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just you go ahead because I was going to give my pick, but go ahead.
All right, yeah, but see, that's the thing. The thing that the last two series kind of lacked. We never got to see that interaction of Peter being with the other heroes, oh my gosh, Iron Man, Captain America, this is awesome, and he's trying to look up to them, trying to make him, notice them. Not in the way Senpai notices me. That's not even on that level. But kind of a fanboy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like what the Ultimates did.
Yep. I'm going to be really. I'm going off script here, and I've heard some other people echo this, but this is not a trendy pick. This is not a something that up and coming. I mean, it's an up and coming actor, and I'm sure I feel like I've mentioned this to all of you before. My ideal pick for the role of Spider-Man and Peter Parker is Anton Yelchin, Chekhov from Star Trek, and Charlie Bartlett from Charlie Bartlett. Yep, Peter Parker is so different than his role in Charlie Bartlett, but one, he's a good actor. 2, he's thin, he'll look good in the suit. 3, every role he plays, he's got just that same kind of sense of humor that you were talking about, Oscar. Every role is kind of humor, but awkward and self-conscious, but he's still humorous. Charlie Bartlett especially is just hilarious. But
Can he pull off an American accent?
yes, he does an American accent in a lot of Charlie Bartlett. He does an American accent, but he does an American accent in a lot of things.
Bright Knight.
I think in Star Trek he's actually playing up a Russian accent. I don't think he really has a very heavy one. Listening to his interviews,
Yeah.
but I
Come
mean,
to think
the
of it,
other,
he's actually my favorite thing of the movies.
yeah, yep. The other thing to consider, and this is a mitigating factor, I play way too much into personal relationships when it comes to casting movies, but he's got the Robert Downey Jr. connection from Charlie Bartlett. Because how many of you guys have seen Charlie Bartlett?
I've heard of
not
it,
me.
but I have not seen it yet.
None of you. Okay, it's a great.
No.
Any viewers, comment if you've seen Charlie Bartlett. Please back me up. It's funny. It's really, really funny. It's kind of quirky and weird, but I like.
Oh wait, is that the Charlie Chaplin biopic?
No, that is just called Charlie Chaplin.
Crap.
But no, Robert Downey Jr. plays the school principal in that.
That's a
movie.
good role for him.
Yeah, the one thing, Yelchin looks young. He's 25, but he's only 2 years older than both Lerman and Dylan O'Brien. So I mean, it's not like it's way out there, but you know, that's my dream casting for that. Out of the two that have been rumored, I'd probably go Lerman just because I think he's a better actor. But
Yeah.
I could also see Zac Efron. I mean, that's just my number 2 choice. But
If he
That's
were an
what I've
older
heard a lot.
Spider-Man, possibly.
and that's the thing is, they're going back to high school for Spider-Man. That's been confirmed. So
it's kind of interesting too because like the early emails said that they wanted to do an adult Spider-Man in the MCU. So
I'm not sure if that's like part of the deal. Like Sony negotiated them down to high school Spider-Man or what? But you know, so
Yeah.
Actually, which would you guys prefer, high school or adult?
I don't know. We got bits of it in like the Sam Raimi movie in like the first film, and then we got a little more of it in like the Amazing Spider-Man, the first one. But in terms of high school, we never did get too much of it. I mean, not enough to establish that he's like an outcast, or okay, maybe we got a little bit of it in Amazing, but not too much. Not as much as I would have liked. So I'd be okay with it going to high school. If you have to do the high school route, do it the way Spectacular Spider-Man did it. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, personally, I would be fine with either one, but I guess it would be cool to see how Peter is like different than the other heroes because he's so young and he's like so different than them. I guess he has to deal with different stuff, you know, like living as a high school student and having this superhero stuff to do.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's funny to me because since they announced that they're looking at high school Spider-Man, I've really been thinking about it, and I combed back through the movies, and okay, so going back to the Raimi films, he was in high school for literally about 20 minutes, and then he graduated from high school, and that was that was like one of the first scenes in the movie. So, you know, fast forward, so he's out of high school 20 minutes into the first movie. Fast forward to the Web Spider-Man, which I always thought that Mark Webb was directing. It was really funny. But fast forward to the Webb movies. He's in high school for the first one, but the other exact thing happens in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Within the first 20 minutes, they're graduating from high school. So, I mean, I think that's the opening scene is Peter graduating from high school. So. We've gotten everyone's like, oh, high school Spidey, I don't want to see it again. Let's get an adult Spider-Man. Gosh. That's not accurate because we've only seen him in one movie, pretty much. I'm not even counting Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, it's a non thing. Yes, I would like to see a more experienced Spider-Man, but I don't see why you can't do both. Like, make him like he's been Spider-Man for a year or two. We don't necessarily need to see his origin for him to be in high school.
Yeah. And if they have to do the origin, just do it in the same way like the Incredible Hulk did it.
Exactly. Yep. That's just a credit scene flashback, and I think that's the easiest way to as well.
Yeah. Though my question is, would they do the radioactive spider or the genetically altered spider? Because I think genetically altered spider has been done to death.
True, and I really want to see Radioactive. That was actually my least favorite part of the Amazing series, is like he's genetically destined to be Spider-Man. I always just hated that.
It's the untold story, though.
I mean,
it kind of felt off.
Well, it doesn't just feel off. I mean, when you get down to the brass tacks, what makes Spider-Man special is the fact that he was a regular teenager that got bit by a spider. And literally, it was random. It was chance. Although, Spider-Verse and the whole spider totem thing, maybe not so much chance, but I mean, it's supposed to be about, this loner. It's what happens when a loner kid gets bit randomly by radioactive spiders, becomes a superhero. Excuse me, I lost conjunctions there. And so that's one of the, just please don't do that. And that's my fear, is that Sony having final say is going to be like, no, we really want him to be genetically predisposed to that. I was like, no, don't do it.
I would be, if they had to do the genetically altered spider again, could we please just do the Oz spider from Ultimate Comics?
That's actually the one thing that I would be cool with. I was just thinking, what if Sony wants to keep their amazing universe and just say, oh, this is the Ultimate Universe, so Miles is eventually going to take over.
Yeah. Which, that's the thing we'll probably get into a little later.
So speaking about different universes, there are a lot of storylines. This is a really bad segue. There are a lot of storylines that have just opened to the MCU because of Spider-Man being there. For example, I think Dark Reign is the one that everyone thinks of. There's a ton of Spider-Man-centric storylines that he can be in. He teams up with the Punisher and Daredevil a lot.
One More Day is good.
One More Day.
Oh, don't you dare.
So,
Clone Saga.
Yeah.
Clone Saga, yes. So, what kind of stuff would you like to see? Which storylines, I guess, would you like to see, or do you think that the MCU is going to try to use for this new Spider-Man?
Well, I don't know if they can do Kraven's Hunt quite yet, because that was in the leaked emails, so they would have to wait at least till maybe the third or the fourth movie, because I've heard there was 3 or 4 movies in the works, but I need to think of one at the top of my head.
I would actually like to see, I don't know, maybe some sort of combination between the death of Jane DeWolf combined with 2 storylines from the Ultimate Spider-Man comic, which is Ultimate Spider-Man Warriors and Ultimate Spider-Man Annual number 2. And in Ultimate Spider-Man, in both these Ultimate Spider-Man storylines, he teams up with Moon Knight, Shanghai, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, Daredevil, and Black Cat, and they all try to take down the Kingpin's criminal empire, basically.
Oh, that'd be perfect!
That'd be cool.
That would be a great idea.
And since you kind of combined it with the death of Jane DeWolf, the way I'm picturing it is that Kingpin hires the Sin Eater from that storyline, and he pays him to kill Jane DeWolf because Jane DeWolf is the only cop that he can buy, so he has to kill her. And since Jane DeWolf is such a personal friend of Spider-Man on the police force, he is more invested in this, and he tracks down the Sin Eater, and then the Sin Eater, admits to him, okay, it was Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, blah, blah, blah.
That would be a great idea. That way I could finally get my scene with Peter Parker making fun of Kingpin, calling him fat and all that, because that was the funniest bit in the Ultimate Comics, and I want that on screen.
That brings up a pretty big point that a lot of people have been trying to make, is that Daredevil and Spider-Man cross over a lot. Maybe we'll see Spider-Man and Daredevil team up, or maybe we'll get some focus on that. Now, Stephen DeKnight just said, for all the names, Stephen DeKnight just said that it's too late to add Daily Bugle in post-production on Daredevil, which is something that a lot of people had been throwing around as a possibility. But it remains to be seen. Who do you think he's gonna who do you think he could team up with?
Punisher?
Punisher is one that a lot of people have been saying as well. I'm for that.
That's an idea.
Punisher actually originally started in a Spider-Man comic, if I'm not mistaken.
Hawkeye needs some love. Why not Hawkeye?
Hawkeye, there you go. The Spider-Man Hawkeye team up.
Don't do the one that they did in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. Don't do that.
Or you could do, Iron Fist or something like that. They also team up a few times, like Spider-Man and the Heroes for Hire.
True.
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man as well.
Yeah.
Zach is I was trying to forget it.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
It'd be really interesting to see, because a lot of this plays into the post-Thanos universe, of course, and we can talk about this a little bit later as we, discuss further the impact. A lot of people have been saying maybe Dark Reign could be something to explore in the post-Thanos MCU as a way of going.
I would actually like if Dark Reign was an entire phase instead of just it's only one movie.
Phase
but like
4.
if it was
Exactly.
like Dark Reign is phase 4, and since we have Norman Osborn and all that stuff, bring in the Dark Avengers.
See, here's why I've just done some very, very quick thinking on this. I completely agree with you, because there's so many phases to Dark Reign that it's crazy. Like, from, Norman's kind of rise to power, and then, of course, I think the thing that really is kind of selling me on this is, so let's say after Ragnarok, you don't really want to do a ton of, like, Thor solo movies anymore. Well, how do you get Thor to show up in the MCU again? Invasion of Asgard. I think it works perfectly.
Siege.
Yeah, Siege. That's a perfect idea.
Also, we could... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that you had, like...
Sorry.
Both of you said go ahead.
I was just thinking
what's going on?
What, Jesus?
We don't know what's going on anymore!
All right,
okay,
be quiet.
Seriously though, this would be a perfect way to finally get Norman Osborn in the Iron Patriot suit, so people can stop complaining that Rhodey was in it, so we could, Norman could take it over, but then that kind of brings it over another problem, would he be the Green Goblin before this? Because that does kind of come into play in Dark Reign, if I remember correctly.
I'm just really kind of hoping, when they do the Green Goblin, there is going to be a push, just because the MCU is so based on the Ultimate Universe. I feel like there's going to be a push to do, the Ultimate, the Oz Goblin.
Oh, please, I've been hammering for that.
But a big point of Dark Reign is the fact that Norman is, and I'm sure you could change something around, but it's the fact that that's the Norman that's more like the Goblin serum made him resilient and strong, but he looks the same, but he's just internally crazy is the whole point of the Dark Reign thing. So
exactly. And
maybe they find a way to reverse
you could also do the thing with
Oz thing, but
yeah, you could also do the whole thing with the Thunderbolts, and though I don't know, okay, they could probably do Venom again at some point, bring him in, or they could do Al Apak, or I don't know, I forgot his name.
Agent Venom.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is actually, and that's a huge get for them to, if they want to do something like the Thunderbolts, they can do the Thunderbolts now, just minus Deadpool and stuff. But they can get the Punisher and Agent Venom and all that good stuff to go on. So.
Yeah, exactly. Since Spider-Man is now in the MCU, that means that his entire Rogues Gallery is also in the Marvel MCU. So that opens up a ton of other possibilities for villains to show up, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or other TV shows.
And that's
Chameleon for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that they were talking about in the press release was they're trying to negotiate villain swap for Spider-Man in the MCU, which is still, that's the one thing they're still negotiating is what degree of use can we have in this joint custody agreement. But
can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
Why not get Hydra involved in maybe Spider-Man's first movie?
I could see that. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe have something to do with some ground stuff on the streets, or have some sort of villain involved. Hopefully, one that's not already been used in the movies, maybe Scorpion or something like that. But just have Hydra involved.
Taskmaster, maybe.
Ooh, Taskmaster would actually be perfect. Because he's one
that would be great.
He's one that's so he's everywhere in the Marvel universe. But
yeah, I can't wait to see that happen.
Oh yeah, that actually would be really easy to bring to screen, I think. And actually, I really kind of hope they would mash him up against Captain America, because that's someone he could probably have a good fight against. But
Ultimate Taskmaster, though.
Yep.
Yeah. Although I'm kind of partial to the classic one. So, maybe mesh the two together.
Here's a fun little question for you guys: what villain? Speaking of villains, what villain would you like to see explored in the new... Or what villain do you most want to see explored in the new Spider-Man series?
If I had to pick one at the top of my head, I know I said this earlier, Chameleon possibly in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but since we're going back to that Hydra thing I just mentioned earlier, maybe have something to do with Chameleon and Hydra working together. I could definitely see them doing that, and that'd be perfect. He's not too strong of a villain, but he's a mastermind of disguise. He can be anywhere. That'd be perfect.
So, Oscar, any thoughts on villains you'd like to see?
Man, I would love to see my favorite Spider-Man villain in a movie, the Hobgoblin, but I don't think that's gonna be possible. Maybe someday, but Exactly.
Voiced by Mark Hamill.
But for the time being, I would actually be very interested in, like, seeing the Shocker, probably.
Ooh.
Yeah. Though, I want to see the Shocker from the 94 series, because I really liked him. Or better yet, do the one from the Spectacular, because Spectacular was also good.
I agree. Shocker is an interesting one, because we've gotten Electro, but we haven't gotten Shocker yet.
Yeah, even though technically we're getting someone with similar powers, like, Sky on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who's Quake.
So, Nick, is your vote for Taskmaster, or is there another one you'd like to...
No, personally, I've always wanted to see Mysterio on film, because he's really
hilarious? Cool. I was going to say the exact same thing. I was just ready to say, I know it's going to go, like, super camp, but... Like, Mysterio is, like, one of the first Spider-Man villains I knew about. You remember that old, like, not old, but it was early 2000s, the Spider-Man computer game?
Yeah.
You mean the original one? I have that game.
Yeah, where the streets, where you were on the rooftops because the streets were, like, gassed and stuff like that, so if you fell...
Yeah, the symbiote gas.
I still just remember vividly the Mysterio fight, and Spider-Man making some offhand comment about Mysterio not having any fashion sense because he was matching green and purple.
Yeah, or taking his act to Vegas instead.
Exactly. That's just stuck with me for years. But
I love that game, especially the remix of the Apollo 440 theme song. All-time favorite remix of the original Spider-Man 60s theme song.
No, but yeah, I was going to say, for my villains, though, I would either say Mysterio, or if they don't do that right away, I would say Carnage, because he's probably my favorite Spider-Man villain.
That's a really interesting one. I mean, I'd like to see them maybe, like, transfer, just because Carnage is, he's got some interesting political beliefs. Maybe you have him be, like, a Miles villain now. Save him for Miles. But
I'd be okay with that. I would be more than okay with that.
Carnage.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, and would somebody please do Ravencroft right?
Yes. I'd also really like to see the doing Venom right. Get a good version of Venom. Get us a real there's honestly, I was gonna say get us a better version of Electro, but that's not on the top of the list.
It's way too recent now.
It's way at the bottom for me.
I'd want to see Craven. I'd
love.
Get the Green Goblin good. Just do it good.
I think it would be very interesting to see Hydro Man in a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. Is he really a Spider-Man villain?
Yeah, Hydro Man is a Spider-Man villain.
Oh yeah, he's one of the lesser known ones, I guess.
Not lesser known. He got a prominent appearance in the 94 series, and he's been in a lot of comics, but he is basically the water version of Sandman.
Yeah, I guess it's because I don't remember much of Hydro Man aside from the 94 series and like one comic where he melded with Sandman, become Mudman. that was just weird.
Another villain that doesn't get love is Scorpion too.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe they could do the whole like a Mac Gargan Scorpion, or do the really weird Scorpion from the Ultimate Comics that was apparently a clone of Peter somehow.
So,
I don't know. That was weird.
I was going to say it's interesting that this list of villains that we've been listing. I really want the audience and the listeners to really kind of get this point more than anything. It's kind of funny because it goes back to what Oscar was saying about this being a tough role, maybe the toughest, like next to Batman, in terms of superheroes. And I think part of it is because the characters are really defined in part by their villains. Like you look at, I think Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is the Marvel equivalent of Batman's Rogues Gallery. I mean, Batman probably has the more memorable, but Spider-Man for sure, just in terms of volume and quality, I don't think anybody in the MCU matches them. So this is just a huge get for Marvel in terms of like opening up their villains. Game.
And since I know that that Marvel and Sony aren't really final on the villain swap yet, but when they finally are, I hope we can actually use some of the organized crime members within the Marvel MCU, like make Hammerhead, Silvermane, Tombstone,
Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative, rivals of the Kingpin, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. that could be a good setup for like the second movie, like a whole gang war, and then maybe get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in on it.
Yeah.
That's assuming the show's around by then.
Yeah. Oh, it'll stick around. I totally trust the power of Clark Gregg.
I thought you were going to say Chloe Bennett for a second. I'm like,
Oh yes, there's Chloe Bennett too. I must not forget her.
Don't start.
Yeah, I guess, well, we kind of talked about the villains, though, but what about, like, other secondary characters of the Spider-Man universe?
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons is as J. Jonah Jameson. He is
Yes.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
I know I made this suggestion before, but what about Hugh Laurie? I mean, he looks like the Ultimates version of JJ, so
Maybe.
why not go with him?
I just think if you can get J.K., and J.K. himself said that, you know, he'd be willing to come back even after Whiplash, which he's probably going to win an Academy Award for. Just get him if you can, for sure.
Yeah, I'd be okay if they got him back.
Just get Lawrence Fishburne to play him.
But if not, like J.K. Simmons, I wanted to see Bryan Cranston as J. Jonah Jameson.
I wanted to see Bryan Cranston as Norman Osborn.
I want to see Kevin Spacey as Norman Osborn.
Oh, that'd be good too.
I want to see Kevin Bacon as Norman Osborn.
Oh, Kevin Bacon, how would that work?
I want to see.
Doesn't that-
Now after that, I would just want a scene with him and the Guardians. But we're just
Yeah.
Like
Kevin
Starla
Bacon.
going, "You look familiar.
Do I know
Did
you?
you ever do dancing?"
Just Starla's like, that's Kevin Bacon. But,
And
Yeah,
then he just punches him like the Hulk.
And since we are actually on the subject of J. Jonah Jameson, in like Captain America: Civil War, I actually hope that they include the Daily Bugle, probably within the scene or whatnot, because after like Avengers: Age of Ultron, I think that the media is going to be very hostile towards the Avengers and towards Iron Man for like creating Ultron in the first place, and like it's not going to be the New York Post or the New York Times or Fox News that is going to be leading the charge, you know, against the Avengers. It's going to be the Daily Bugle.
Yes,
True.
please.
that'd be
Get
great.
the good old Bugle in there. And then have
Yeah.
something with like the Daily Globe, that's like the other, it's kind of like the rival of the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, and the Daily Bugle can actually give us some like information about what is going on within the rest of the universe. Like maybe there's a headline about, oh, there's this vigilante in Hell's Kitchen, or like the Skull Killer leaves a trail of bodies from the organized crime ring or whatnot.
Yeah. Also, if Peter is going to be back at like say Daily Bugle, make him a web designer. Just don't even go back into the whole photography thing. You can, I guess, a little bit, but I want to see a little bit of the Ultimates just be poured into this. I want to see him be a web designer.
I think a web designer would just be hilariously tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, because you know I'm surfing the web and all that stuff. I'm just terrible with puns today.
Yep.
I hope they go the whole, like, Ultimate route, though, and they don't kill off Gwen Stacy so they can have Gwen and MJ in the movies
Yeah.
at the same time.
Please.
Yes,
Should
and don't.
be clean.
And I don't know. I don't know if they could get away with doing the whole Carnage assimilating her, and yeah, comics are weird.
Yeah. Spider-Man, though.
That Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yes,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
All right, so what time are we at here? The Skype call says it's 1 hour and 3, or
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, I think we had one more topic that I was itching to bring up.
go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I've been going around the internet searching for anything related to Spider-Man because, obviously, after the big news, I could not sleep. I had to just surf on the internet and just go looking through everything. And a good, probably sizable chunk of people are upset there. Oh, God, we're doing the Peter Parker thing. Let's drop him. Let's get something new. Let's do Miles Morales. Hold on. I do not want Miles Morales in the new movie. But hear me out. Hear me out here. I got nothing against Miles. I've read his comics. I like him. He is one of my top 5 Spider-Men. But I don't want him brought into the movies just for the sake of doing something new. Because actually, CJ and I were talking about this, and I also did a blog about this. You know, shameless plug-in, hint, hint. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you can't do that, because if you put Miles before Peter, what's the sense of Miles taking over? Because the reason Miles becomes Spider-Man is because he's there when Peter gets killed by Norman. I mean, so he kind of takes up the mantle for him. And if you just put him first, then how does that work? It just seems kind of pointless. It seems like they're just forcing him in, just to appease the people who want to see something new. I don't like that idea. But that's just my opinion.
I would agree. I think it's about execution. I mean, he is a legacy character. You could definitely, like Hollywood, you could definitely drop him in with no reason, but I think it's just much more satisfying to watch Peter pass the torch, I think. Give Peter 2 or 3 movies, and then you can switch it. It's,
Yeah. Either kill him off, or let him retire, go do his own thing, and let Miles take over. And then, when Peter has children, have Miles be the mentor for Mayday Parker. That would be so awesome in so many levels. I would be fanboying all over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. Go ahead.
No, you first.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the whole Peter Miles thing. Like, the night that the news broke out about the Spider-Man deal, El Mayimbe did like a Twitter poll. He's like, retweet for Peter, favorite for Miles, and like Miles had like way more favorites. So that just like shows what the general public wants, I guess.
Yeah. But the only reason Peter's getting a bad rep right now is because the movies didn't do too good of a job that we wanted with Peter. Yep. I mean, you can pick and choose from Raimi or Mark Webb's movies, but now that Marvel finally has a foot in the door, I'd say they're all the way in the door, they can actually do a lot more now. They can actually pull more influence from the comics than what Sony was doing.
Yeah, and they could probably do a lot more with like storyline wise, and they can probably, I don't know, take the franchise to the next level that Sony never did.
Yeah, and they could easily build up to Miles, because, they can maybe mention his father working for S.H.I.E.L.D., because that's a thing in the comics, if you've read any of the recent issues. Or, they can mention his mom because she works at a hospital. Or, they could do a lot. They could just build up to it. And then when Peter goes away, then bring Miles into it. So that way we know he's there, we can get the hints that he's there, and that he exists. So we know he's coming. So at least then he'd get the proper introduction that he deserves. Because I want Miles done justice, just as any other Spider-Man character ever.
So Jaden Smith from Miles?
No, not in a million years on the planet Earth.
Please, dear God, no.
No, just after the whole After Earth and Karate Kid reboot, which, by the way, I really hate that movie. No, just no.
Yeah, but if Marvel eventually introduces, like, Miles Morales, and when Miles Morales is done, I want Marvel to take it a step further into the future.
Oh, I think I know what you're going.
Yes.
Like, do Miguel O'Hara, do, like, Time Storm or Edge of Time. Okay, maybe not Edge of Time, because the ending of Edge of Time was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I lost all thinking process after seeing that.
Just do Web of Shadows.
Yeah. Oh, Shattered Dimensions.
Ooh.
Yes, please, Marvel, if you're listening to this, here's a free one here. Do a mix of Shattered Dimensions and Spider-Verse. Bring Madam Web, because you can finally bring Madam Web now. Get Julia Andrews to play her, and do it. Just do this for me, Marvel. This is for free. Do it.
Send us free shit.
Zach gave you the first one free, but next time he's going to charge you. That's
Yeah. And I don't care who says what. I think Julie Andrews would be a perfect choice for Madam Web.
All right. So,
she can't sing, so that's not a problem.
I think, we've discussed a lot of the impact. We've discussed the future now. We're discussing kind of, where they're going to go in the future and where it's going to take it. I think we've reached the perfect terminal point for this discussion. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
I just want a good movie. That's all I want.
Makes sense.
Yeah, me too. Skip over the origin story, skip over the death of Uncle Ben, and just go with the already established Spider-Man, and then
full
work your way.
Spectacular Spider-Man on it.
I think that's the thing. That's a good point to note. Is like everybody's talking about. Oh, it's like hey, it's like we need Uncle Ben's death in there. It's like really everybody knows Uncle Ben dies. Everybody does. We've seen it 1,000 times now.
Yeah, and if you have to bring them up again, do the whole thing with the nature versus nurture arc and Spectacular. Because that was a really good... That was probably one of the best episodes out of that series.
Mm-hmm. Nick, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts? Spider-Man. It's awesome.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can.
We need Spider-Gwen at some point, though.
Yep. That's the weirdest part of this whole Sony deal is, like, apparently they're still moving on with all of the spin-offs, which doesn't make any sense to me, but...
Yeah, that's another thing.
Although, Marvel, if you're listening to this, don't do, like, the classic Sinister Six thing. Do Superior Foes of Spider-Man, because that is going to be popular.
I think
I see where you're going.
The thing with all the spin-offs, I think, I really don't honestly think they're still developing them. I think they just haven't been canceled yet. I think they just got a new, like, because Pascal's gone, they just got a new person. So I think they're gonna have to reevaluate all that. But I don't think, especially with Rod's diminished role now, I don't think the spin-offs are gonna happen. But
yeah, please tell me the anime is not happening.
So all right, so that about wraps it up. I guess, everybody say your goodbyes.
Ta-ta, everyone.
Gotta have that Spider-Man plug in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Go check out my blog.
All right.
Spider-Man 2099.
Shameless plug-in.
Signing off. This is CJ, and I'll see you next
time.
I'm
Zach, and then we'll see you all later. I have 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 you all later.